script drafts and putting the financing together and all that became a reality, and we managed to go down and shoot film in India, which was like a whole different conversation for a whole other day. But it was crazy, but it definitely for me solidified my passion for like telling stories elsewhere, like travel. Like for me, when I was a kid and I moved over here from England when I was 6, I always wanted to be a pilot for most of my life until I got into films, and then I wanted to make movies. And now I get to do both. I get to travel and make films. So.
Yeah, Andre and I, we had started a business while we were still in actually just between our first year and our second year. We just went down, registered the business name, and started picking up jobs from there. We did, we started from the ground up. We did wedding videos and everything, and then we started to get on with a few local advertising and marketing agencies, doing some internal and corporate video and things like that, just slugging it out, and then word of mouth just started to spread based on the work that we were doing, and we started to do some TV commercial, and then into like national brand TV commercial and stuff like that. And it was, sometimes that stuff can be really soul-sucking, but it funded the passion projects, and so it was so important that we kept it going. And even while we were doing Departures, and it still exists today, I mean, basically the mother brand of all of the shows that we've kind of started underneath it, or under the Echo Bay Media umbrella, which is the name of the business that we started 12 years ago now. So, yeah. So, yeah.
You left the program to pursue an opportunity, and then came back, correct?
I'm sorry?
You left the program to pursue an opportunity, and then came back. That's
Departures?
Yeah. No, sorry. You left the arts program.
Oh, yes.
Pursue an opportunity and come back.
Yes.
Would you? I mean, obviously you came back and finished, so you obviously wanted to finish.
Yes.
But was it worth leaving for an opportunity? Did you do that again, or did you recommend? You said stay the course.
Well, this is a dangerous one, isn't it? It was a very special opportunity, and as I say, it started out with this other travel program that wasn't ours, it was somebody else's, but it was too good of an opportunity. We then approached the staff here and talked to them about it, showed them the opportunity we had, and as I say, they were very accommodating about that. They were able to kind of make exceptions for us and incorporate that as a 1-year full co-op and all of this sort of stuff. On top of that, then the Echo Bay Media, the corporate commercial business, starts to get so good as well that you start to think, okay, well, am I going to get up at 9 tomorrow to go to class, or am I going to get up at 9 to finish the project that's going to pay me $5,000 or whatever it was at the time, you know? And it's a battle, and you know, yeah, you're right. It was important to me to come back and finish, and I did. It was, in the end, I think it was only like a gen ed, and is it still gen ed? Yeah. Okay. It was like a gen ed and something else, some other course or something. It was pretty easy to come back. So if I was to do it all over again, I would still choose the same path, but it was a pretty special circumstance. So, yeah.
I have like 2 questions. But like, first one is, did you guys take the Oscar live action? Like, was there still like that choice? Like now, like there are like 2 streams to go through. One is documentary.
Did we have that? I don't think we had that. I don't think we had that.
Cool. And then, can you tell
Sorry.
us like just a little more about like pitching to the networks, like how it, like how it actually got funded, and like what were some things that you did or that we could do to make sure our stuff actually is pretty lit.
Sure. Yeah, just about pitching to the network. I'll say my piece if you want to say your piece. It's probably a bit repetitive of what I had said before, but what was important to us was to make sure that they couldn't ignore it. So to make sure, this was going to be the one chance to get something under their nose and for their eyes to be looking at it. And if we lost that opportunity, we might not get it again. So it was about making sure that we put every ounce of energy into making that something they couldn't ignore, right down to packaging. It was every element of it. Giving them something visual to look at, so they can't just read it on paper and misconstrue what we were trying to pitch. They could watch it, they could see that we were capable of it. And to know that going in, it usually doesn't happen this easy, but that was the mindset we were in, is that this was going to be the long haul. We were prepared to do it. We more or less bankrupted ourselves. We used up the rest of our student loans at the time, and we were in kind of a bad financial situation for a few months, and we were lucky that it got picked up so quick, but we were ready to weather the storm because we believed so much in what the project was. We thought, yeah, you know, somebody's going to find this sooner or later. They're going to know that it's good. Somebody still believes in good television with real content, and somebody's going to find that. So I think it was just the approach, making sure that we were 100% happy with what we were putting under their nose, to give them no excuse, and to really believe in it and be ready to, you know, if it's your passion project, to get behind it and make sure that you know it's the best, and that anyone who turns it down is stupid to do so, kind of thing.
Yes. Also, just in general, like outside of Departures and anything else, like in terms of just pitching to a network, I mean, you definitely want to have a show that's unique and different. I know for myself, I've received probably, like Scott, the same thing, probably like 500 Departures pitches myself. People are like, I got a great idea for a show. Me and my buddy from high school, we travel the world together, and I'm like, you can't really make someone else's show. So really find ways to make it unique and different, and know what's out there, know what the network is airing, know what type of programming, not just are they showing now, but maybe they're looking to change. Like OLN, since we started 5 years ago with them, have changed their mandate like 3 or 4 different times. They changed ownership once, which is major, and that affected everything. And then internally, they've changed their management, which they've changed not just the people like who run the show, but the people on top of them, and the people on top of them, and that changes everything because, again, the broadcaster ultimately can control the direction of the show. They're the ones paying for it, so what they say goes. So in a way, we got so lucky with Departures because Patrice, who was the broadcast exec, believed in it so much, and he had so much power when CTV owned it, that basically let us do what we wanted, right? There's very little input from the network, which is rare. A lot of times the network is going to say, you know, this has to change this, you got to do this, you got to do that. So we've really got to know what the network is looking for, and a lot of people have some really good relationships with broadcast execs. You have to know who the right person is at each network. And here in Canada, it's easy because there's only like 4 networks. So you know, it doesn't take much research to figure out who the people are you need to contact to pitch a show in Canada. But outside of that, you know, if you went to like a CAN or MIPCOM or something, you get to know these people a little bit over time. You get to know who's buying for like Travel Channel US, or who's buying for Nat Geo International or something. And in terms of pitching, I mean, really having a solid idea of what it is, like, again, Departures was such a solid, and it was a simple package. I actually reread it pretty recently, and it was actually very simple. It wasn't like overwritten or over, you know, complicated. It was very simply done. It just said basically what Scott said, where the travel format is flawed, and here's our thing. And it's full of passion. It's full of just really nice, big, glossy photos, and the sizzle reel. A lot of pitches these days really helps to have something to see when you go into pitch. And get a designer on board too. I think that's really key. Just somebody who can just make your package look. Take it from, yeah, the 8.5 by 11 paper and just give it a little bit of style. It can be 2 pages. It can be like just a 1 sheet that you give to the network, but that's really key. I think the other thing is really the team, and having, you know, realizing that if you went straight from, you know, Sheridan right to a broadcaster and pitch 5 ideas, they're going to be like, well, I'll come back when you have the experience, or a team that has done this kind of thing, unless you've worked for like 5 years in the industry and kind of bring together that team. So you really need to look at your team and identify the strengths and weaknesses and bring people on that can complement that. So.
One other thing to further that is a lot of networks online have like a producer's guide that you can go and download, and they'll give you so many hints in that producer's guide of what they're looking for. These are the kind of programs we want, and they'll use taglines in there. They'll use these, you know, these go-to words that we were able to then take that information, kind of repurpose our initial pitch. So we had all the copy for our pitch that was going out, and we read that, and we just incorporated and tweaked it to basically sell them exactly what they were asking us to provide. So that when they read it, this is like, oh, why does, you know, they don't know why it's so great. Well, it's because you're selling them exactly what they've asked for. You know, you're using their catchphrases and words here and there, whatever it is, but you can really glean a lot of information from their website. Like Steve said, being able to study what they've got on the air right now or how they've started to change, and be able to notice those trends in the way they're changing programming from the outside, just watching it as a viewer, and be able to attack that. If they're moving more towards whatever it is, then if that works with what your idea is, then utilize that, package that in, and make sure that that's going to be one of those things that they just can't ignore. They see, they read, and they get hooked on. So.
Actually, yeah, there's a lot of like panels and stuff that happen at every major film festival and TV market, and a lot of those things are put on YouTube or put on like, I think you can go on the MIPCOM website and find just find like these hour-long panels that they've recorded where they talk to all the people at like the heads of these networks, and they say, you know, what are you looking for? And they'll very specifically, very concisely say, you know, character-driven, this, that, this kind of format, half hours, 1 hours. Like, they'll give a very specific idea. And I think if it's not on their website, then you can just find out who's buying for that network and look them up. And chances are you'll find, like, it's just a ton of research that I think you got to put in before you go to pitch. And make sure when you pitch a network, you know their programming inside and out. You know everything that they're airing and everything, you know, where this could fit, like who would want to watch this kind of thing. Like, I think that's really important too. And I thought it was like, I didn't realize it was St. Paddy's Day. I thought it was a gang sitting here. Everyone's wearing green. Those are gang colors. Yeah, sorry.
Also,
No offense.
What did that final like piece of paper end up looking like?
For departures?
Yeah.
The pitch that we sent was much more than a piece of paper. We literally made almost like a coffee table book that we bound and everything. Yeah, it was huge. And again, it was from our standpoint, from our viewpoint, it was to get noticed. You know, because we knew so many people were going to be pitching just a piece of paper. And like Steve said, it's not to say you can't get picked up with a piece of paper, but it better stand out in some way, shape, or form, and you better have something that they can sink their teeth into, not just words. This is a real demo, whatever it is. So for us, it was that, you know, book that basically had all the information there, very visual, which reflected what we wanted the show to be. It was very, very visual storytelling, and then of course in the back it's got that reel that they can watch, that sample of the show. And then it was packaged up, tailored to travel, so that everything from the moment they got it was telling them about what the show was. It wasn't one thing to the moment they received it until the very last page that didn't sell them on what the idea was. So, yeah. Sorry, the question was, did we go in to New Zealand knowing? We went to New Zealand. We got invited to a friend's wedding down there, and we thought that the timing was just right. We were, at this point, starting to figure out, okay, we need to go somewhere foreign. We need to go somewhere outside of our comfort zone a little bit to properly show off this thing. We can't just go into Toronto and film this. We're not going to react the way we are if we're actually in a different environment that's foreign to us. And so when I got an email from my friend Ellis, who's now in Descending, and he said, you know, I'm getting married, I know it's a long shot, but if you come down, and you know, I said to Andre, maybe this is the opportunity. It's going to be expensive to get down there, since we had just bought a new camera and all of this sort of stuff, but we thought it was the golden opportunity. So we definitely went down for his wedding, but we definitely went down with the idea that while we were down there, we were just going to keep shooting and shooting. We didn't know exactly what the show idea was at that point, not by a long shot, and that's why we just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. We thought, well, we'll just shoot all of this amazing stuff and we'll figure it out once we get home. We knew the feel, but how to actually execute it, what the pace was going to be, what we would include and what we really didn't get hammered out until probably halfway through season 1, to be honest. I mean, it grows and it morphs and it changes and everything as you go, but that's part of the life and the style of the program as well. So.